Welcome to the In Between Mama podcast, a space to rest in between who you are and who you're being called to be. We're going to be talking about seeking God in life, love, marriage, whole body wellness with people who have walked a few steps before. I'm your host, Riley Sandrell, wife of almost 5 years and mama to 2 kiddos. One's almost 1 and the other is almost 3, which is so crazy to me. I am a woman who is seeking health and love and community and most importantly, Jesus. My goal is to reasonably encourage you in a way that feels tangible and realistic. I am going through all of this with you because this is the start of the In Between Mama podcast. This is the trailer, and I just want to kind of unpack with you what it's going to be about and what you can expect. So I find myself somewhere in the middle, and I bet you do too. And let me explain that. I wanted a space to talk about things that we don't really want to talk about with women who have gone before. I am neither at the beginning of my transformation nor at the end. And, we'll never be at the end, at least here on earth. It's in these dots in the in between that we have to rest in. And so I invite you to come in with me and rest together. For the next 30 to 90 minutes, this is your time to listen, reflect, and grow. It's okay if you're multitasking. I probably am too. Do those dishes, drive your kids, fold the laundry, but mentally set aside the space to take in a breath and to check in a conversation meant to encourage you and fill your cup. I love podcasts because it's a great way for me to connect in a community and feel like I'm listening to a conversation, feel like I'm having coffee with friends and learning something, and to dive deeper into a way of thinking when that's just not possible because I'm being a mom or I have responsibilities or I'm doing my job or whatever it is that I'm doing. Because you know what? Sometimes my friends can't see each other. Like we can't see each other for 3 to 6 months and or however long it is at that period of time. And I miss people. And so I want to have conversation or I want to listen into conversation. And so that's my goal with this space is just to create a really beautiful place that you can just tune in and listen and feel like you're sitting down and having a cup of coffee and being encouraged by someone who has walked a few steps before you in life. Before we go any farther, I want you to understand the voices coming into this space. When you click an episode, you may not have a clue in the world who is speaking. That's because a lot of the guests I aim to have in this space don't have platforms. They're living life and they have really beautiful insights to impart on us. I personally get really tired of scrolling through podcasts and seeing the same handful of names over and over and over again. And my goal with this podcast is not to just be another voice, not to just add more noise, but to introduce you to some other perspectives who have gone before and lived some hard life and have interesting experiences that will encourage us to grow in reasonable and tangible ways. So I encourage you to listen in, even if the topic doesn't seem to be relevant to you or if you don't know the voice. You may hear a beautiful story that encourages, inspires, or brings along a sense of solidarity to you that you didn't know you needed. The In Between Mama was birthed out of a space of longing. I was explaining to my husband that I feel like I'm constantly in the space between mama and me, needing to prioritize myself and my health, but not really knowing how to do that, struggling to do that in a sustainable way because at the end of the day, I'm still mama and my kids still need me and my husband still needs me and I have this long list of to do. And some days I just want to run away, but I obviously can't / don't want to. And so that only leaves a choice of learning and growing and making time for intentional rest and space and choosing to overcome the hard through the strength of God. I was really struggling with this online community that just said, it's all about you. Get back to your pre-mama self. And that's not me. I am a mother. I was birthed into motherhood when I birthed my children. I walked through that unexplainable transformation, and that will always be an integral part of who I am. But that's not all that I am, nor where my identity lies, because that can also be dangerous. On the other hand, I didn't like the community that is so rooted in motherhood that they fail to acknowledge or prioritize anything outside of that space. Like, I'm still a human and I still have needs too. I found that they were almost using motherhood as a crutch and an excuse for why they couldn't take care of themselves or their marriage, essentially not taking responsibility for themselves. their actions or responses and blaming it on their children or their husbands or whatever else. And I've been in that camp before, and it's not cute. And it's a really sad way to respond, and it creates a space for resentment. It also can create a space for codependence on both sides between you and your kids and your husband. So I believe that this is due to a breakdown in society and a cultural shift, and as we moved away from God and his design for marriage and health and raising our kids and so many different things. And so rather than choosing to not accept responsibility, I want to take radical responsibility and accepting that my actions have consequences. And we can diagnose everything and deny reality, but regardless, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to take. And mental health issues are real, but they're not our entire being, and they can be overcome. And they are due to causes that can be worked on and fixed with the right tools, and the belief that they can be fixed and the support to back that up. And so I really want to encourage you in all of that as well. That's something I've walked through, and I'm excited to share more about as this podcast goes on. I understand that there is a complex system of privilege when it comes to our personal health. Wealth, family support, a healthy marriage, healthy children, healthy work environments, healthy friendships, community, it's all lacking. But, and this is a big but, we have to step back and ask ourselves and realize that through the entire history of time, there's always been adversity. There's always been inequality because there is evil. Things will always be in a disarray and essentially unfair on this side of heaven. It is still our responsibility to say, okay, here are my circumstances. What am I going to do with these? Am I going to make the most of them? Am I going to be thankful for what I do have and do my best to work towards better? Or am I going to sit around getting unhealthier in my thoughts and then consequently physically until I am to the point where I'm incapacitated and unable to help myself? Is that how I want to live this one life that I have been given? Life is hard, and we have gotten to the point where because life is hard, we don't feel like we should have to do more than the minimum to survive. But life is hard, and I'm going to tell you, you are capable of doing hard things. Why? Because you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility with God, no matter how big it feels. Life is going to be uncomfortable. You and your free will get to decide how to respond to that, regardless of if you feel like your circumstances are worse off than your neighbors. I fully believe in working towards loving each other better and subsequently evening the playing field. But that does not mean that we are still not on our individual walks of life with God and responsible for our actions and our response, regardless of the outcome. That is living by faith. We will always suffer in some capacity, and it's up to us if we are willingly going to choose to suffer more or less. That is no one's choice but our own. That is why in this space, I want to showcase people who have gone before us, making hard choices and changing their outlook on life to improve their circumstances. Whether it's in mindset and physical health and mental health and relationships, we can do hard things. And when we fail, we see, and yet God. He is faithful, and we're going to showcase that faith, those options that we have, and ways to sustainably take care of ourselves and integrate them into our lives. Your response is your sole responsibility, but that doesn't mean that you have to go it alone. Not everybody who shares in this space is going to get it right 100% of the time. I am not going to necessarily agree with or align 100% with everyone who shares in this space. I am going to work hard to protect it, but I'm also going to set boundaries. If you listen, you are accepting the fact that I am not public property, and that also goes for those who share their life experiences, especially because I'm going to be seeking seasoned voices of whom may not have platforms, and you may not have ever heard of them. And there's something really especially beautiful about listening to the voices of those who don't already try to elevate themselves. Not that there's anything wrong with having a platform. I just think we should try to look beyond the obvious wherever we can. So with all that being said, take what you want, leave what you don't. If you don't agree, that's okay. I will not be changing my voice or stance because out of social pressure. I have a family and mental spaces to protect so that I can serve them well outside of this ministry. And you are more than welcome to express your opinion in a kind and gentle way. That doesn't mean I will always have the time or mental space to be able to respond or take part in a debate. I believe we all do enough of that. And you're a big girl. You can take work with the Holy Spirit to do your own discernment, and I'll do mine. That's part of living in this beautiful, broken world. I want you to know that I'm also here to learn. I'm excited to ask questions and have dialogue in a way that increases my understanding of the world and how we can love and live and be closer to Jesus. I'm excited to have strong women share heartfelt and honest conversation. I'm going to do my best to provide resources and conversation that's accurate, but there's only so much detail that one can go into. I always encourage you to do your own research and to trust the Holy Spirit and seek true discernment. I also want to make it clear that I love Jesus. I also want to make it clear that you are welcome in this space, even if you don't. So, I am so thankful you're here. Thank you so much for listening to this very long intro. And I am so looking forward to having you in this space. Go follow me on In Between Mama. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I will be hanging out there a few days a week, sharing nightly journal prompts, verses, encouragement, and so many other things. And I'm just really, 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 really blessed to have the opportunity to be in this space again and to be sharing the things that God is teaching me and working on in my heart, and in hopes that I'll be able to encourage you as well. So have a blessed day, and thanks for tuning in.